Society network of artists and creative enterprises, Arterial Network, has elected new leadership. Aadel Essaadani of Morocco is the new chairperson, while Korkor Amarteifio of Ghana is the deputy chair. Now, the appointments were made at the organization's recent African Creative Economy Conference. To tell us more about this, we are joined from our Cape Town studios by Arterial Network Secretary General Peter Rorvik. Peter, good morning, welcome.
Good morning, thank you.
Peter, how would you sum up the fourth biannual conference?
Well, it's an Arterial Network program that really is a series across 5 years. The first was produced in Nairobi, Kenya, 2011, in Dakar, Senegal, 2012. This year in Cape Town, it will move next year to Morocco, and then in 2015 to Central Africa. It's an opportunity to really interrogate the creative economy, and that really encompasses music, film. You've had music and film and art featured on your program this morning. It's much, much more than that. The production and distribution of all of these arts goes as far as fashion, craft. The broader definition of the creative economy includes design and architecture and software. And this has become one of the leading growth sectors in the world economy, with a value of about $600 billion US. And amazingly, during the global financial meltdown around 2008, this sector maintained its growth trajectory while all other sectors were faltering, stalling, or collapsing. And the conference is an opportunity to interrogate and explore and unpack this in a lot more detail. In fact, so we had 300 delegates attending, 32 program speakers, including people from the African Union, the European Union, UNESCO, UNCTAD, a lot of cultural agencies, creative entrepreneurs. It was a very important opportunity for us to explore how we can be involved in this. And I think the important point is, I mentioned how big and important this growth area is, but Africa, alarmingly, has a 1% share in the creative economy of the world, and Peter, we need to find out ways to improve our stake in that.
With all of that being said, and briefly, very briefly, talk to me about some of the major issues that came out of the conference. With everything you've just said, some of the things at the top of mind that you thought were, these are the points going forward that need to be discussed in more detail.
Well, clearly people have identified the cultural and creative industries as important contributors, not just to economic growth, but to human development as well. We need to develop markets both within Africa and outside of Africa. Statistics have shown that trade within Africa is increasing. We would like to see that increase further. The cultural industries, in fact, has become the cornerstone of our government's Department of Arts and Culture, a new white paper. So people are recognizing the value of arts and culture as a sector for growth.
There's a steering committee. What do they bring to the table? It's a new steering committee. Talk to me about that element very quickly.
Yes, Arterial Network has a 10-person steering committee from 2 people from each of the 5 regions in Africa, just to provide leadership and direction to this project that Arterial Network is undertaking. And it's a broad continent. We have chapters in 40 different countries. Our role is to strengthen networks and build structures across the continent, really to strengthen the creative and cultural sector across Africa. So information dissemination, the production of research, publications, best practice toolkits, and a lot of continental projects. And we're looking forward to having our steering committee. In fact, they'll come to Cape Town within the next 10 days or so for induction of the new members and to have a planning meeting to take forward into the coming years.
Now, since 2011, when this first conference was started, the dialogue then was a very different dialogue to the one we've got now. How has that dialogue grown, and how do people now understand the creative economy?
I think it's challenging because artists on the ground just want to produce their work, find exhibition platforms, make a career. We are working behind the scenes to create those platforms, try and involve cities, for example, that might want to promote their artistic programs. We see cities as very crucial to the development of arts and culture, because cities, in fact, are more inclined than national governments perhaps to support arts programs, because it is cities and their citizens who benefit directly from, for example, big festivals or events and arts culture development programs in their cities.
Do we talk, or you as a group, when you sit down, very quickly, final question, when you sit down as a group, do you talk about technology and the role that it plays in helping the creative economy, dealing with some of the challenges that are facing, as you mentioned, artists on the street, they just want to make a living?
The digital technology is certainly transforming the landscape of arts and culture. I mean, particularly in the way of film. Film used to be a very elitist area to access. Now, digital technology has leveled the playing field to a large extent. We've seen that through Nollywood, now moving to Kenya. And even in South Africa, filmmaking has certainly been transformed by that. Whereas, you know, in the olden days, Hollywood, I think, still makes more money exporting its products around the world than it does in its own country. But with digital technology, it gives us a more even opportunity to enter that playing field, and for new players in particular to get into the game of filmmaking in particular.
Peter, thank you very much for joining me. That, of course, is Peter Rorvik, who's the Secretary General of the Arterial Network, talking to us about the recently concluded 4th biennial, as well as the civil society's new leadership. And, of course, that conference happened in Cape Town, and we've had that conversation with him from our Cape Town studios.
Well,